Yes, as we saw what is function and what are the types of function in the last session, today now we'll be dealing with what are the various types of lambda function and what are the functionalities can be used in lambda function, right? So lambda functions is nothing but it is called as anonymous function. What is anonymous function? An anonymous functions are nothing but they function without a name is called anonymous function. We'll try to understand what is a lambda function in detail. Lambda functions are also called as anonymous function. They do not have any name. Lambda keyword to be used to create a lambda functions. Simple one line of functions can be created by using the lambda function. So every lambda functions begins with lambda keyword. A lambda functions can have multiple arguments which is separated by comma. A colon represents the expressions in lambda function. The expression always returns the objects. So here are the examples that we have provided with actual functions and as well as the lambda functions. Can you see? If you want to provide the actual functions, we are almost utilizing 4 to 5 different line of code. But in the lambda functions, we are able to write all the information in single line, right? So without further ado, let's understand in detail of lambda functions, how to write this type of codes. So let me move on to the Jupyter notebook. So now we'll talk about a lambda functions. A lambda function, as I mentioned, it is an anonymous functions. Lambda functions. A lambda function is an anonymous function, that is where it defines without the name of the function, defined without a name of the function, right? That is called a anonymous functions is all about. So let me write a syntax for lambda function so that you will be very familiar to how to create a lambda functions. So the syntax is very simple, where you are providing a lambda as the keyword, lambda, and you are using a colon here. Before colon, you want to specify the arguments. So number of arguments, and also you are going to specify the what is the expression that you want to perform. So this is the syntax of lambda function, where lambda is the keyword that you are specifying it, and then you are specifying the number of argument it takes, and then also you are specifying the what is the expression that you want to perform on top of it. So let me write as info as the variable. I am providing the lambda function, lambda is the keyword, lambda of a comma b. So how many arguments I am providing here? I am providing 2 arguments, one is a and the other one is b. So here I am performing some certain set of expression, that is nothing but a plus b. So if I execute info, info takes how many argument now? Info takes 2 argument, one is a and the other one is b. So for a, let me specify it as 7 comma 3. So the output is 10. Awesome, it is working totally fine. I can also provide multiple expression here. For example, plus b, that is nothing but what is the output that we get? That is nothing but we have 7 plus 3 plus 3. So the final output should be 13. Can you see here? The final output is 13. That's awesome, right? That's working totally fine. So this is your lambda functions. So now we'll try to move to the advanced topic in lambda functions and try to do some complicated queries in lambda functions. So let me try to perform some operations like squaring the numbers. So how do you square the numbers? So let me provide the variable name as output is equals to lambda. I am providing one argument. I want to see the square of the particular arguments, right? So how do I print the square? Double star 2, right? Exponent 2. So now if you write output, output takes one argument, that is consider like 5. So 5 square. So it is telling output is not defined because the output spelling is wrong. Yeah. So can you see here? It is performing the square of the particular elements. That's great. So this way you can perform various different types of functional arguments, and as well as different types of lambda functions and expressions. So let me go for example 2. So we'll solve more complicated query now. So let me write power is equals to, let me define lambda function, so which takes base, comma, expression, exponent, and as well as some addition, subtraction you can perform on top of it, where it takes 3 arguments here, and here we are doing some expressions where we are telling base plus or base to the power of expression plus addition I am doing here. So now 3 argument it has been taken, and then it is expecting the 3 argument that the user needs to be provided. So power, open bracket. So 3 arguments you need to provide. The first thing is base and expression, and as well as some addition values. So base, let me provide it as 2, comma, expression I am providing it as 2, and then I am adding with 8. So what happens? 2 to the power of 2 plus 8 will be the output, that is 12. So base, let me provide it as 5. So the output should be 33. Understood everyone? This is how the lambda function works. It can take one argument or multiple arguments. So let me compare normal regular functions, user defined functions with the lambda functions. So whereas in the user defined functions, let me provide sum of multiple elements, right? So how do we provide the sum of multiple elements? We did last time, right? Where we took multiple number of elements and we perform some operations. So we do the same thing to make it more complicated, where we use functions, user defined functions with the lambda functions internally. So let me write as user defined functions as def as my keyword, and this is my functions. And now let me provide the function name as argument as n. So it is taking single arguments. Now inside the argument, let me provide the lambda function. So I will write as return some lambda function, that is lambda of a colon a plus n. So what happens? Where inside the user defined functions I am providing the lambda functions. So let me see what will be the expected output. So let me write as inner functions, that is nothing but my doubler is equals to, that is nothing but my function of 2. So I am giving 2 as the value for the my function, that is nothing but for n, and then I will provide my tripler is equals to my func of 3. Okay. So it is successfully taken. So let me print here my doubler, that is nothing but this function as another argument it takes, which is for a. So let me provide here for a as 6. So if you execute, what happens here? You can see here this value is assigned for n and 6 is assigned for a. So that is nothing but n value will become 2 and plus 6 for a value is, that is you have provided as 6. So your output is 8. Alright. So if you want to change that n value as 9, so that is nothing but 9 plus 6 will be the output, that is 15. So this way you can use a user defined function inside the lambda. You can use lambda function inside the user defined function. So now we'll talk about major parameters of use lambda functions. So the major parameters that we use in lambda functions are something like map. So we'll move to the PPT so that it will be easier to you to understand what are the various map operations that we can perform. So what is map? Map function expects the functional arguments. So in operation to perform some iterables. For example, consider like you're providing map as a function. So it takes lambda expression and sequential orders. So the expected query looks like this, where it is taking map and it is taking a lambda function, whereas this is your lambda expression and here you are performing your list of elements. So instead of giving 1 or 2 elements, you can provide the list of elements. So what it does, it iterates to the list of elements and performs some certain task. So let me go back to the script file. Let me provide map. So map takes the 2 argument. One is function and the other one is iterable. So let me perform the practical examples for map, where I am providing number is equals to some random list of elements. Let me provide 2, 4, 1, 90, 3. So now I want to perform some operations for all these elements. So lambda function used to perform for only individual elements, right, before. Now I want to perform for list of elements that is assigned. So at that particular case, I want to go for map. So as I mentioned, map takes 2 arguments. One is your function and the other one is, that is functions are nothing but the lambda function, and the other one is iterable. So list is an iterable where it iterates with multiple elements inside. So you can write your map of function that is nothing but lambda of x colon. I am writing some expression such that for each argument I want to perform square. So to perform square, what I can do, x into 2. So for each argument I am squaring the values, comma, I want to provide the iterable. What is the iterable here? The list of elements, that is num is the iterables. Let me provide num. If I execute, I won't get any output. I will get the map as the output because I have not told my Python to print an list or tuple format. So explicitly you want to provide which format your output is expected. So explicitly you can provide it as list format. So what this does, this is explicitly converting your map output into list format. So here you can see here, whereas for each and every item or the iterables, the data has been squared. So 2 square is 4, 4 square is 16, 1 square is 1, 90 square is 8100 and 3 square is 9. So this is the functionality of map. So again we have next functionalities, that is filter. So what filter does, let me discuss with you. I hope everyone understood what is map. Now we'll talk about filter. So filters are nothing but, filter is a function that performs some operations on top of the lambda functions, where it tries to filter out the number of records based on the conditions. So here what I have done, here it has taken n number of elements and then it has filtered out only those records which is divisible by 5, alright. So how do we perform filter? So whereas same arguments where it filters takes the lambda functions and as well as iterables. Filter and function comma iterable. So let me provide here list of elements. The same list I will take as num. So I'm writing here list. I want list in the output. So I'm providing filter. I'm filtering the records which is less than 5 records. I want only those information where the value is less than 5. So I don't want the 90 to be printed out. So I'm telling filter lambda is a function x. I'm providing if x is less than how much? Less than 5. You can provide in this way, comma. I also want to print the iterable. So before we are printing the iterable, you can see here, you are writing this condition. So you are writing this condition as x is less than 5. So if you have multiple condition, you can write also use if and else statement. Here I can write just if statement to perform certain operation. So no need of writing if here, just I can remove it. I can provide the iterable as num. So it is expecting another bracket. Yes. So I can see it is extracted only those elements which is less than 5. So always make sure that whenever you use map function, the number of input is equal to the same as number of output. Whereas in filter, it reduces the records based on the condition that you have provided. Now finally we have reduce is the functionality. Always in reduce, it will give you an output of only one value. So whenever you want to use reduce as the parameter, you want to first import from the libraries. Here I have mentioned from func tools, you want to import the library as reduce, then only you can perform some certain operations. So we'll start importing the libraries from func tools. We'll start importing the reduce and then we'll start performing some certain operations for reduce. Reduce function. So as I mentioned, I want to import the libraries from func tools or nothing but functional tools. Import reduce. So reduce is successfully imported. Now I'll perform some operations like number is equals to, where I'm specifying random numbers. So I've specified the random numbers for number. So now if you want to perform some operations like maximum values that is present inside the what particular list, to do that I can just write as max num, right? So that is an inbuilt function. So inbuilt function is totally working fine. But if I want to create my own lambda function, what I can do, I can just make it as function that is prints the maximum value. So max vals is equals to reduce. I'm reducing it to the only individual element. So I'm providing the lambda function here, lambda of x comma y. I'm taking 2 argument at the beginning and I'm writing colon. If x is greater than y, if x is greater than y, I want to print it as x, else I want to print y. So what happens if 2 is greater than 4, it prints the value of 2, else it prints the value of 4, and then 4 will compare with another 4. Then 4 and 2, where 4 is greater than 2, right? So it remains 2 here. Then 4 will compare with 11. So 11 is greater, then 11 will compare with 4, then 11 is greater, 11 is comparing with 6, 11 is greater, 11 is comparing with 7, 11 is greater, 11 is comparing with 221, 221 is greater. So it will print the 221 as an output. So this you have mentioned it. Now we also want to print the expression, that is nothing but the iterable, that is num as the iterable. So let me close this bracket and execute. So let me write as max vals. So your output is 221. This is how this entire map function works. If you want to also sum up the records, all the records that is present inside this num, you can simply write a variable called summed up is equals to, I can write as reduce of lambda x comma y. Here I am taking again two arguments, one is x and the other one is y, colon x plus y, and I also provide the iterable, that is num. So summed up, you can see here it is summing all the argument that is available inside the iterables. So by default we have a inbuilt function called sum that also does the same task. So the resultant you can see here, this and this is one and the same. So now let me also print the minimum value. To print the minimum value, what I can do, I can just write as minimum of num. So the minimum value that is present inside this particular list of elements or iterables, men vals is equals to reduce lambda of x comma y colon if x is less than y, I want to print the value of x, else I want to print the value of y from where? From num. So your output will be 2. So this is how the inbuilt functions are built. So you can also provide the same information by using the lambda function. So here is the detailed analysis of lambda functions, what all functionalities can be used, and how we can solve various complex queries using lambda function. Thank you.